real futuristic.
Shh! Don't talk during the movie.
Hi everyone, I'm Luke Hector and this is the Book of Meeple, a show where I devote my time to ranting and raving about board games, but usually more the latter part, let's be honest. Today we just got a little speed review here for Popcorn. This is from iello Games. I noticed this at Essen last year. It's now, I think soon, probably in the next month or so, to be hitting the retail stores. This is meant to be a light family bag builder where you are running a cinema, trying to get punters in to watch your weird, strange movies and obviously give you money and points. You know what, as a theme, I can get behind that. There's not that many cinema-themed board games, and certainly not that many good ones, as far as I'm aware. So I'm intrigued to see if this one can be just something light-hearted and fun, or is this just going to be infinitely forgettable?
A few moments later.
Popcorn is a fairly straightforward bag builder. You have a deck of movie cards with a final showing card to represent the end game trigger, so once you go through the deck, eventually you will trigger the end game. Everybody has their own cinema with 3 screens that can house a certain number of seats, you know, basic ones at first, one's not even open yet, and they will have a bag where they will put these different colour meeples in. So you've got the basic sort of white punters that just don't do anything particular, and then you've got blue, yellow, green and red for the various colour punters, which basically trigger various effects off seats and certain movies. Turn sequence, pretty straightforward. In the first part of the round, you get to buy new movies, you get to upgrade your theatre with seats, or you get to advertise for specific colour punters. So in terms of seats, well, they're easy enough. There's 3 different rows, and they've got different combinations of 1, 2 or 3 seats with different bonuses, different colour codes, because if you put like a red meeple on a red seat, it will trigger its bonus, but if you put a different colour on, it won't. And these can basically just upgrade your cinema as you see fit. One particular upgrade benefit might be that you can increase your audience rating, which is how many meeples you draw out of the bag later on. But the movies themselves, these come in various different genres, you know, comedy and action and stuff, but basically it's all colours at the end of the day. There's a price, a bonus if you happen to put it in a theatre that matches the number of seats. No idea thematically why that's a thing, it just is. And the idea is when you buy a cinema movie, you slot it into your board like so, to cover up the first bonus, and then this is now the movie in your cinema. The idea is though is that as time goes on and as the rounds progress, you have a marker here which covers the cost of the movie, and then as the rounds go on you slide this up to cover up the bonuses that the movie can possibly get you because it's going through its theatrical run. Once everybody's had a turn basically doing all this acquisition, you then have to actually do the whole movie thing. So you'll have a bunch of these meeples in your bag. You'll draw a certain amount depending on the round it is. Well, that's not a bad shout there. And then you allocate them to the seats in your theatre, ideally trying to match up different colour meeples with the colour seats that they want, but also different colour meeples with the movies that they like to see. You know, I've got a yellow comedy here. Well, this particular meeple is yellow, therefore likes to see comedy movies, therefore it's good to pair it up. Reason being is that if you do get the matching meeples with the movies, you're able to trigger these different bonuses which get you points, money, awards, gold cards, all sorts of you know, little nice bonuses here and there. And you can have 3 of these on the go, and obviously they're going to go through different levels of theatrical run. And once that's done, you just have a little bit of cleanup, you rinse and repeat the displays for the seats and movies, and you keep going, acquiring more movies, more seats, getting a little bit more money, getting the popcorn, which is effectively your victory points, as per the name of the game, and gold cards, which are basically, like in every game, get this and you get victory points. Once the final showing round is done, total up all the VPs and see who wins.
Is that it?
So as you can see, pretty simple, pretty lightweight. 2 to 4 players, 10 plus, 60 minutes. Now 60 minutes is... that's touch and go. 60 minutes if you're playing this with 2 players and you know the rules, but when you start increasing this to 3 and 4 players, you're easily getting to the 90-minute mark. You know, possibly longer if you've got slow players, but 90 minutes should be more on average. But 60 is kind of, yeah, wishful thinking. You will not get a 4-player game of this done in 60 minutes. You know, this isn't even including the teach. This is just if you sat down, played this game with 4 people, you will not get it done in 60 minutes. It's damn near impossible. So, yeah, 60, no. This is not a light filler type game. This is certainly not even like a light, oh, I've only got about an hour to kill, let's play this one. No, this one is a light game that's still going to take up a little bit of a chunk of your evening, and it kind of outstays its welcome in that regard because, you know, with a 4-player game, by the time I get to the last, say, 2 or 3 rounds, I'm like, oh, we've rinse repeat this quite a lot. I'm just buying this, you know, different movies and getting more meeples and that, you know, the game kind of needs to finish at this point. It really does actually go on a little bit too long for its own good. the theme in this is fine. You know, it's a light-hearted theme, and basically you've got these movies with stupid titles and taglines. I mean, you've got The End of the World, the USA will defend us all. Good luck with that. A monster in the ship, everyone's gonna die but one. Basically an Alien parody. The World After, the hardest part is filling up. It's got like a petrol station on it. Frank and Einstein, you know, Roha and Jaya. Just because we're sad doesn't mean we can't dance. You know, King of Tokyo, because obviously they're going to put their own games in here. Kangaroo Man, Barbacus, The Man with the Money, you know, the cursed peg leg, you know, Unknown Destination. You know, there's all sorts of like cool, funny little gimmicks here, but I mean, that'll wear off in time. It's fun if you're the first time you've played this game. You're going to giggle at some of these, but other than that, you know, there's some groaners, there's some weird ones in there, but it's just, you know, a bit of a light-hearted theme. Other than that, the whole getting seats and bringing in meeples and stuff, you know, it all works. It's got the aesthetics of running a cinema, so that bit is fine. Gameplay is quite linear. You do the same thing each round, and as I said, it kind of outstays its welcome after a little bit, so there's not really any ways to branch out, and even paths to victory are kind of on the minimal side, because yes, you've got 4 different types of movies that you can gun for, but they're not like really different. It's just this color works with this color meeple. That's it. It's not like the comedy movies get you more of this and the blue movies get you more of this. They're all pretty much exactly the same. The seats, there's not very many of them in the game. I mean, this is literally all you get in terms of the seats. It's just basically those 3 there and that stack. That's it. There's not very much, and that is one thing that does hurt this game as well. The variety is just not really present. When you've played this once or twice, you've seen everything that the game can possibly offer in terms of the movies and the thing, because you go through the whole deck of movies in one game. You will go and see most of the seats, if not all of them in the game, and even the gold cards are kind of, you know, just duplicates of each other. You know, it's like, I need 2 of this and 2 of this in red. Now I need 2 of this and 2 of this in green. Now I need 2 of this and 2 of this in yellow, and there's basically lots of duplicates of that. So there's not a lot of ways to make the game varied each time.
I admire its purity.
Interaction in the game is also fairly minimal because you're just doing your own thing on your board. You've got your movies, your people, your bag. That's fine. Apart from people, oh, you took the movie I fancied, or you took the seats I wanted. That's pretty much all the interaction there is, bar one aspect. And this actually is impactful enough that it could possibly kill the game for people. There is one bit of interaction with other players in this game. Unfortunately, it's negative interaction. This is not the good interaction where there's, oh yeah, I've got to watch what you're doing and what you do is influencing the board state and all that stuff. You know, we're not talking like Inventors of the South Tigris here. But here, they throw in this really weird mechanic where basically when you get an effect that lets you take a meeple, there's a reserve of meeples. So you have a very small reserve at the start of the game of the different color meeples, and this will fill up with whites as the time goes on because you're going to take the colored ones. And the other thing is that as soon as you take these and they start running out, if there isn't one in the reserve, you take one from another player. You have an exit zone here, which is kind of like the discard pile for their meeples before they go back in the bags. And when you run out of meeples of that color you want in there, you take them from another player. That hurts a lot.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
This is a bag builder. You're already at the mercy of the luck factor, and we'll get into that a little bit in a second, but you also then have this thing where, you know, you have meeples that could just be nicked off you. And it may be that you were the only person at the time that happened to have a meeple of that color in your exit zone. Well, sucks to be you. Other times you might have 2 or 3 other players that all have a meeple of that color. Who do you go for? Who do you think's winning at the time? Who on earth knows? It's not that easy to gauge. But the other problem with it is that it just feels mechanical. It feels arbitrary, like for when you're doing it, but it's actually really impactful negatively to that player, because firstly they might really need those color meeples for the movies they've got, but on top of that you've got gold cards that want you to have 2 green, 2 of every set, 7 or 8 meeples in total, you know, and they could be worth a ton of points. You know, there is a thing here, was it? Let's take for example 2 of every meeple, 5 points, or 2 of every green movie seat and meeple, 4 points or something. Okay, so let's say I've got these 2 here in my collection. I've grabbed a bunch of the greens, I've got 2 of each of the meeples here, and then at the end of the game, just because on the last round somebody had no choice, or you happened to be the one that was picked, somebody takes one of your green meeples. There you go, your green meeple's gone. You've now taken me below 2 green meeples. You've effectively nullified 9 victory points off my score because you randomly decided that I would be the target for you taking a green meeple. And the scores are not high in this. I mean, you are not scoring more than 50 points in this game. You know, you're scoring much less at times. So losing 4 to 5 points on something like that is utterly crippling. Utterly crippling. And it doesn't feel rewarding when you do it. You feel like a jerk, but when it happens to you, you don't feel like you played badly. You feel like you just got screwed over at the wrong time, either by somebody being a jerk because they just wanted to have vengeance on you for taking a meeple that you took earlier, or, you know, but just by fluke that you happened to be the one that had one of those meeples at that time, or just random where 3 of you had that meeple and you were just the unlucky die roller. I don't get why the mechanics in the game, I don't like it. I think it hurts this game quite a lot, and I have had people put off the game because of it.
You kids are soft.
A few other mechanics kind of stagnate a little bit as well. You can advertise for meeples. You put a little token on here, and when you take it off in the start of the round, you can grab those particular colour meeples. Again, this feels like a very tacked on mechanic to just basically have, you know, it feels like jumping through an extra hoop just to say, I want to take a different colour meeple. You know, it feels like added on at the last minute, and I don't know, it just feels like one step too many for just getting another colour meeple. But it's mainly to work with the whole timing aspect that when you want a certain colour, they just might not be available. Well, you know, that is, I suppose, the only way you can go about it. But then some of these markets can stagnate as well. You only get 6 movies on, I think it's 6, maybe it's 8, I can't remember, but not that many movies on show. And when they're taken, they don't replenish. So there's only so many to pick from it around, and you might be really needing some yellow movies, and they just don't come out of the deck when you need them. And then you've got these tiles here for the seats. There's not that many on show. These replenish, yes, but the thing is, once people get a decent setup of their cinema, they're not really upgrading their cinema anymore. So you find that the seats stagnate. They don't replenish or discard at the end of a round. So if my objective wants me to get, for example, yellow seats or, you know, pairs of red and green seats, and then people stop buying seats, then the greens and yellows stop popping out of the deck, and then, well, what am I supposed to do? I can't just randomly, you know, replace seats and spend my money, which is tight. I mean, this game is tight with money at times, you know, to upgrade my cinema just so that hope that those yellow and green seats come out. You know, why don't they discard at the end of the round? I think you need to add a house rule that the bottom of that all of these seats should replenish. They should cycle it to the bottom of the deck so this is kept nice and fresh. It's not in the rule book, but believe me, goddamn, you are going to need to house rule that into your game, because otherwise this is going to cause even more problems.
Thank you, Mr. Cowboy. I'll take it under advisement.
And of course, with bag building, you have the other factor, which is a thing with bag builders. There is a luck factor to the game. I mean, you're drawing meeples out at random. You're not going to be drawing that many meeples out. I mean, you have to max this track like crazy to get 7. Most of the time, you're probably going to get 4 or 5. And you're getting meeples so regularly in this game that you end up with a lot in your bag. It is very difficult to, you know, in the time frame that you have, the amount of actions that you have, or even the mechanics of the game, frankly, to cull stuff in your bag, you know, to really efficiently make your bag something good. But the problem is, even if you do manage to make your bag a little bit more efficient, you can't make it efficient enough that you would notice the difference. And also, there's not enough time left in the game in terms of number of rounds to actually get the benefits of the fact that you made it efficient. You might as well have just left it as it was and concentrated on other things, and then just trust to lady luck, because that usually wins the day at the end. But, you know, when you've got seats of particular colours and particular movies on the show, you obviously want to draw out the meeples that are going to get you those bonuses. Well, if you don't draw out the meeples that get you those bonuses, you're suffering for the round, and then you don't have as much for the next round, and it's a cascading effect. There's definitely a rich get richer feel in this. Like, if you've got a really good position and you're getting loads of money, well, you're not suddenly going to be drained out of your money and struggling the next round.
We've got to have money.
Another little minor blemish, the insert is not the best either. You've got to Tetris everything in here to fit it in. They don't give you anywhere near enough bags in the box to house all the components that are not in the slots. I mean, seriously, you know, in a day and age where bags are plentiful, you can put a few more in here. But even then, it doesn't tell you where stuff will go, and I don't think it even fits to most of an extent. I mean, if you don't use baggies, good luck trying to store this on its side, but where you're supposed to put things like the seats and that, in the cubby hold that I believe they go into, the one that actually makes sense for them to go into, they don't all fit. You actually have 2 tiles that you can't fit in there, so the insert isn't even the right size for some of this stuff. But you know, just if you're going to keep this game, chuck the insert. It's really not that good a production on that front. But, you know, so I've gone through a few negatives on, like, the game itself, but there is good stuff here too. It's a very simple game to teach. It's not that, there aren't that many rules, and most people will be able to get it just fine. You know, the theme is still light-hearted and a little bit fluffy. People are making jokes about the movies and, you know, popping movie references every now and again. I like this mechanic with the theatrical run. I think that's a really cool idea, you know, where you get to have the bonuses dwindle over time. I think that's thematic and quite cool. Although, back to the production quality front, remember I said that these meeples and the seats were fine? Good luck trying to slot these movies into this dual layer board on a regular basis. Wow. You know, half the boards seem to work fine. One of them is a little dodgy in this copy. One player color literally struggles all the time to get the movie to slot into these things. Like the gap where it's meant to slot is not big enough or not, you know, easy enough to slot these in. And so, unless this was just a weird copy of the game, I think you're going to have times where you're going to get frustrated with trying to slot these things in because they're just being finicky all the time. You know, that could just be a duff copy here, but again, it only takes one duff copy for there to be a worry that there's going to be more duff copies, and so that could cause a bit of an issue and frustration. But, so, overall, a little bit of a disappointment, really. I kind of wanted more out of this, and, you know, the theme is nice and it's simple, and, you know, we don't have many games with this theme, but, you know, a couple of production issues here and there. That negative interaction thing, not a good thing, and overall, it just lacks staying power. You know, I wanted to be able to sort of take this to multiple game nights and go, right, here's a light game that I've really been enjoying, and we're going to play this each week. But after playing it a bunch of times, I'm now kind of done. I don't feel like it's got anything new to offer me now. I can take Cryptid to a night, and I still get an absolute buzz every time I play Cryptid. And I'm done in 30 minutes, right? I can take Cascadia to a time, 30 to 45 minutes, but I can change up the animals, have a very different game each time. You know, and Pagola, you know, I've reviewed that one lately, and that is a more fun light game than this. So there's all these other light games that have come out in the last, you know, several years that I would prefer to take out over this because it's not light enough. You know, it's got the light rules and a light fluffy theme, but again, 60 minutes, if you're lucky with 2 players, you are talking 90 minutes easily with 3 or 4, and in that it's outstaying its welcome, but there's not enough variation during the game and after the game to want to bring me back for a lot more plays. So it's got a few problems, and I just don't think that this is going to be a staple of the year. I think this one's going to be forgotten over time. For me, this one gets a 5 out of 10. It's an average game. It's fine. It's decent enough in places. You know, I like aspects of it, but other aspects get in the way, and it's already starting to lose its staying power for me, and I've only played it a few times. I've played it enough times to get a review out, and I'm already thinking, I'm kind of done now. That's not what the sort of feeling I want to be getting from a game. You want the game to be something you want to bring every week because you love it, you want to play it and everything, but there's just a lot of little frustrations here and there that make me feel that this one is just not gonna win over people. You might play it and go, well, that was a bit of fun, but there's difference between playing it once, maybe twice, and having a bit of fun, and actually buying the game, owning it, and keeping it. Those are two very different things, even though the game is fairly cheap, and at least, again, fairly light-hearted, but just a bit too long, not varied enough, few little blemishes here and there, bad case of negative interaction at times, which can be very impactful and very punishing. I don't know, it just didn't quite work for me.
We're just too different.
So that's it for me on this episode of the Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, then please thumb it up on YouTube and thumb it up on Board Game Geek when it goes live on the page. Don't forget to check out the rest of the channel. There is more videos out, despite the fact that it's the summer and there's not a huge amount being released. I am working through the whole Moon Saga of the South Tigris at the moment, so at some point I'll be able to give you some Beyond the Base videos for all 3 of the Tigris expansions as well as this, so you can look forward to that content in the future. And of course I want to try some other like tier maker and like digital playthrough stuff. I've done Arc Nova recently, two videos of that have gone up. Please support those videos, watch them, I want to get the views up for those. And of course if you're interested in the Patreon, it helps keep the channel running. And I've been asking the Patrons for top 10 list ideas and podcast ideas at the moment, so it's good to lend your thoughts and for me to kind of get an idea of what it is you want me to do. So take care, and remember, regardless if you want to eat popcorn at a ridiculously high price rate because cinemas try to gouge everybody out for food at these days, seriously, what is it with the price of popcorn and that? It's still only a game, so take care, bye for now.